The Auburn Express.
You are now listening to The War Report LAUB Town Podcast. With your boy Ike Jones.
War Report family, what's up? It's your boy B Will, LAUB Town, getting a little information in before the Ole Miss matchup. This is part 2 of the matchup for the season. So we're going to be in here talking about the matchup today, man. 5 p.m. Central. We're at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, who has been playing better since we beat them down a few weeks ago. Maybe we jump-started their season for them. I don't know. I'd like to take credit for it, you know what I'm saying? So let's take credit for jump-starting their season when they lost to us by 23 points. It was a good game for us. We was on a little streak. We have since slowed down a little bit. All right, that's true. We have slowed down a little bit. So we can't say we know exactly what to expect. If we had gotten one of the 2 losses that we had taken before we lost that game, after we won the game, if we had either beaten Bama or beaten Mississippi State, I have a little more confidence. I think it's fair to wonder what we're going to get from Aiden Holloway. All right, I think that's absolutely fair. I think it's also fair to wonder what we're going to get from Dylan Cardwell, who, while he had been playing very well over the course of the regular season, he has come into some foul trouble. His minutes have been reduced, or his effectiveness has been reduced. And consequently, Janai Broom's usage is going up. And we don't want to overuse him. We want to keep him fresh. I think that 20 minutes or so per game that we use him, the 25, that's perfect. If we got to see him getting 30-plus minutes, then I think his effectiveness goes down, and it's bad for the team overall. So we definitely have some issues that we need to address. But glad y'all are here. Glad y'all are in there with us. Before we get all the way into it, though, I need to let y'all know about our new sponsor, BetUS. BetUS is our sponsor. You're going to see their information in the show notes. That link, you sign up, you get 125% sign-up bonus. We might be talking in betting, you know what I'm saying, at some point here going forward. You know I like to talk betting. Basketball season is a bit of a different monster because you don't get a full week to plan and research like I like to do with football, but it's okay. All right, it's okay. We're still going to get back to some betting content, but what you need to know is that you get fast 24-hour payouts. You get a 24-hour customer service line, and you get 125% sign-up bonus with BetUS. Link is in the description below. So y'all keep that in mind, and we're going to press on a little bit. So I want to talk about what's been happening with Auburn since we won that game. Now, we know we beat Vanderbilt down last game. We look pretty good. We'll get to what wasn't working that game later, but we lost to Bama on the road. We lost to Mississippi State on the road. Now, we might say, hey, what if it's a road home thing? I'm not sure if it's a road home thing because we beat Vanderbilt very handily at their place, not by 20-something points, mind you, but we still beat them, and I thought the game was in hand the entire time. And we play very well on the road. Jay will play very well on the road. Now, it could just be that Vanderbilt's a bad enough team that it doesn't really matter whether we were home or away. They just don't have the goods. But for a team that can actually be competitive, for a team that has some things working for it, maybe it's a bit of a different challenge. And whether or not we're home or away actually does matter. And what I mean by that is you got the players that they've got. This guy, Matthew Morrell, for Ole Miss, he's a baller. He's averaging almost 17 a game, 3.3 rebounds a game. He's their leader in steals. I would, sounds like a baller to me. And he has played considerably well the last few games. He's also leading in minutes for them. They will undoubtedly want to be getting back at us for the beatdown we put on them earlier this season. Ole Miss is playing at a higher clip offensively. They're averaging more points a game since we beat them at home in at Neville Arena. I wonder how much of this game specifically we will look different because we know we won't be playing Aiden, or at least I don't expect we'll be playing Aiden as many minutes. Trey Donaldson got the start last game. He played more minutes, and he played more significant points in the game instead of letting Aiden close as he had been. Trey was on the floor to close. I think that's an acknowledgement by Bruce that Aiden needs to cook a little bit longer, but we'll get him back out here. One thing that is very interesting, though, if I look at the plus minus for Aiden Holloway, Trey Donaldson had a plus. You know what? I'm not going to kind of sort of quote it. I want to make sure I get back to the exact number because this was a very interesting stat. Not all of the college basketball games get logged as far as plus minus for individual players, okay? The ones that do, I always think is very enlightening to look at who's having the best impact or the biggest impact on the game, both positively and negatively. Our highest plus minus players, Janai Broome at plus 40 for the game, all right? Second was Trey Donaldson at plus 36 for the game. Third was Jay Will at plus 34 for the game. Denver Jones plus 31 for the game. Next, Chad Baker-Mazara at plus 19. Now, if I ask you to think about the players who have been playing the best, even if you just looked at their Vanderbilt game, just the eye test, you'd be like, yeah, those players had really good games. Well, you'd be right. Those are our highest plus minus, most positive plus minus players. Chris Moore he was a plus 11. And this was, he had 0 points. He was 0-3 for the field, but the defensive impact that Chris Moore has on the floor, he's a plus 11. Now, if I go to Aiden, he was -5 on the game, okay? And this is what I mean by it's not as simple as he played fewer minutes. He did. He only played 15 minutes while Trey Donaldson played 23. But it's still a significant factor that when he's out there, we're not in the plus column. Now, some of that always has to do with who's on the floor with you. You put Janai Broome on the floor, then I think everybody's the effect on offense at the very least should be better for everybody. But that's not necessarily the case because even in past games when Aiden was on the floor with Janai starting, he didn't necessarily have a good positive plus minus rating either. Dylan Cardwell, he was a -9 plus minus against Vanderbilt. A game that we won handily. We're talking almost 30-point victory, and there were players who were in the negative as far as the plus minus on the board. I think it's a better sign if everybody's in the plus, or at least nobody's in the negative. If we're in the negative, we're very, very shallow into the negative. But that's not quite what's happening here, which is, again, it's always a very interesting way to look at rotations. I'm sure Bruce is still figuring some of this stuff out. But I'm going down looking at the other players. Chaney Johnson, he was a -3 again. A shallow negative, I don't think that's too much of an issue because you might just be on the floor with somebody who is a key part of the team, like Aiden is when Trey Donaldson's not in the game, but he's struggling. If everything is going to be set up to where your guys who are handling the ball or your best shooters aren't doing a great job of scoring, then, of course, the plus minus is going to drop for everybody on the floor with them. So it's not 100% here's who's good and here's who's bad. I don't want to give anybody that idea. But I still think it's very interesting that Dylan Cardwell, Aiden Holloway, both of those guys have been struggling either in their shot or their ability to stay on the floor from excessive fouling. And that has affected us when our benches come in. So KD Johnson, interestingly enough, was a flat-out +/-0. So he did not hurt us. He did not make us a whole ton better last game. But we know that he only scored 2 points last game. But he didn't take a lot of shots either. So he wasn't necessarily killing us. But Broome and Donaldson, I think that's the battery that this team works best around right now. And I think that's plain if you just look at the games. Watch the games. You don't need me to tell you plus minuses. Who's effective when they're on the floor? Broome, Trey Donaldson, Jay Will, and as of late, it was rough early season. Denver Jones took a while to find that shot. He found it. He turned the shot turned up. He started playing that defense that Bruce likes to see. And then he got the green light more often as far as him being able to hit shots at important times. I think he started the game, 4 for 4 last game? Baller, okay? Baller. So, looking at Ole Miss, though, again, their last few games, they have won. I'm pulling their stats back up right now. So their last 3 were against Mississippi State at home. They won 86-82. Texas A&M on the road, 71-68. That one's important because Texas A&M usually defends very, very well. To keep in mind, I think we only won that game by 6 points. You know what? Let me look up and see what that margin of victory was for us because I do want to see that again. We won it 66-55. So we held them to 55, but Ole Miss put 70 on them. Now, 66 isn't too far off, all right? We held them to 55. They held them to 68, so we defended a little better. I do think we're a better defensive team. However, them being able to score 71 on Texas A&M is really the light that goes off in my head. It's like, okay, they may have found something. They may be hitting a stride right now because I think it's very hard to score on good defensive teams like that, especially when those good defensive teams are at home. You've seen how much tougher we are to beat when we're at home. So to put those type of points on A&M at home, I say, Now I want to know more. Now I need to know exactly how good have y'all been playing. I haven't watched Ole Miss since we beat them. I have not watched them play. Okay. But that Texas A&M victory is the one that raises my antenna. Like, hold up now. And kind of the same thing with the Mississippi State victory. Mississippi State is a defensive team. Now, I realize they played them at home. Mississippi State is definitely a better home team. But you put up 86 on Mississippi State. Guys, we didn't put up 86 on Mississippi State. We did not. Now, I know, again, Mississippi State, they were on the road when they played Ole Miss. They held us to 58 points. Ole Miss put up 86. That's kind of crazy. Okay. We realize that part of it is Aiden hadn't come all the way around yet. Caldwell doesn't stay on the floor quite long enough. Other players are hit or miss with their shot. I don't know, man. Like, that's a little bit of a reason to worry. A little bit. I don't think Ole Miss is an elite team. I do think we have the perimeter defenders, Chad Baker-Mazara, Chaney, Denver, to stifle an elite offensive player, which I think their guy, again, what's his name? Oh, I just lost it. Their main scorer is he's a really good player. However, I can say I'm a little concerned about this game for that reason, because we have to go to their place where they've been playing lights out offense home and on the road. And now we have to be able to keep up with that. Now, I don't think Ole Miss is elite defensively. They're giving up a lot of points to a Mississippi State that's not an elite scoring team, giving up a lot of points to basically everybody they play. So we definitely have our opportunity to play some of our best offensive ball. I would expect Jay Will to play very well this game. Jay Will and Broome are going to have the room to get the points that they need. The true question, I think, is still going to come down to, can our backup guards, or Aiden in this case, what can we get from him? Bruce alluded to it in the post game after the last game. We're only going to get as much, or however far we can get is going to kind of depend on what Aiden can do. Can he close the gaps in his game? Can he start hitting those shots? If he can start hitting those shots, those opportunities that we get, then I think our second unit is going to be elite. However, Matthew Morrell is his name. He got some backup feedback. Morrell is his name. Aiden hits those shots, and then we are an elite offensive team. Without Aiden hitting his shots, and definitely without KD having a game, which he can be hot and cold still a little bit. I don't think he's shooting us out of games like he used to do a couple years ago. But we need him, KD, and or Aiden to show up and be efficient immediately. Aiden, at the very least, is not turning the ball over, which is granted good. Now, we're still turning the ball over way too much. Let's get that out the way. Auburn still turns the ball over way too much. It might not be coming from our point guards necessarily, but we're still giving away possessions. And as a team who isn't playing elite offensively, you can't afford to do that. One of the best offensive teams ever, the Golden State Warriors, and they turn the ball over all the time. It was a chronic problem for them. But when you've got shooters like that, you can overcome that. We haven't been shooting like that. We can have a game like that, a game or two at home like that, but we can't afford to turn the ball over. Turnovers was the entire reason we lost the Alabama game, almost entirely because we gave the ball away, gave them possessions, and you lose the game by 4 and they're shooting hot from 3. We can't afford to turn the ball over unless we are just going to be shooting lights out, and there's got to be some serious question marks and concerns about whether or not we can do that coming off of the last few games and what we've seen from both Aiden and KD. So those are my main concerns. All right. I think we're favored by like 2.5 right now. I would not bet money on this game. All right. You're going to use your BetUS sign up. Go sign up, get 125% on your first deposit. You know what I'm using my first deposit on? Not this game. I can't trust it. I don't know. I want to see some significant progress from either KD or Aiden to know that we can count on their offensive contributions before I start saying, all right, we can definitely beat a really good streaking offensive team on the road. We have not seen that from us yet, and I would need to see that. So as far as what I'm expecting to see in this game, I do think we found something with Trey and Broom. Broom is playing up to expectations. I think we need to give him his praise, give him his flowers. Broom is doing what you would expect a guy to do who goes to some NBA camps and they say, you're close, but maybe a little bit more. Well, he came back prepared to work harder, do more, and he's gotten better at the things that he needs to get better at. It's not that every game or every half is the best half from him, but we can consistently count on more than 15 points, a decent free throw percentage for a big, and him to hit a couple outside shots as well. Like, hey, man, that's what we need. And he's blocking shots, and he's putting out that energy defensively now. Again, that's linked to Dylan Cardwell being able to spell him and be productive while Janai Broom is on the bench. But Broom has done his job. It's really hard to know. I see Chris has jumping in here. I have no idea what Old Piss does well. I don't either. I have no idea. None whatsoever. None. I did not watch them. I can only surmise from the stats I'm looking at what they have and haven't done. And even then, it's hard to know exactly what you're looking at because you don't watch the games. This averages in the whole season, but specifically the last 3 games when they have been on this winning streak, what's been working for them. I'm going to learn a lot about Ole Miss tonight. We won't have to play them again after this, of course, but, the only guys I think we have to be scared about or worried about. So, yeah, Morrell is the one we got to worry about. Flanagan's actually been averaging 15 a game this season, but his efficiency is not great. He's only shooting 41.6 from the field. Jalen Murray, who I think is a point guard for them, and he's got the most assists on the team. That's why I'm pretty sure that's why that is. Flanagan's actually been getting a block a game. So he's been playing. He's been turning the ball over at the highest clip of anybody on the team, too. So he's kind of the Allen Flanagan, that was here. Hot and cold on the shooting. Overall, not a great percentage, but he's defending fairly well. Matthew Morrell and Jalen Murray as well. They both appear to be playing well, and they're shooting at a better clip. Matthew Morrell shooting at 47.5%. Jalen Murray shooting at 45.5%. Jalen Murray, the point guard, shooting at 44.5% from 3. Oh, hey, we got to watch out for him, buddy. We got to watch out for him. Matthew Morrell shooting at 38.4% for 3. That's still a really good percentage. So they've got some bombers. They got some bombers. All right. It makes sense that we're going to have to, of course, play the 3-point line very, very well. We didn't do that great against Bama. That's the one way we knew we could lose against Bama. We turned the ball over, and we let their 3-point shooters shoot. You got to expect that. The urgency from Bruce, the coaches, and putting that on the players about defending that 3-point line and not letting these guys get a full head of steam, get some momentum going, and start feeling themselves early. Similar to what we did last year, and we actually talked about. We were going to the tournament game against Iowa last year, and we talked about, listen, they're a team that can score and can get going, but what you can't do is let them come out hot, because then it's really hard to cool them down. You have to stifle them early. Now, some of that is always going to depend on what do the refs feel like calling. That's always going to factor into it. College coaches. Not college coaches. College refs, college basketball refs are the worst refs working, hands down. I'm not counting high school. All right, I'm sure there's some bad high school refs. College basketball refereeing is the worst refereeing in collegiate sports, okay? Yes, it can absolutely determine the game. It can absolutely determine Is it 2 quick fouls on a Janai Broome or a Dylan Cardwell, or is it a block and a tie-up instead? And we're just balling out of control because Janai gets to sit down, Dylan gets to be physical, KD gets to be physical and annoying. And instead of a steal and an easy bucket the other way, it's a foul on KD. Now he's frustrated and he gets out of sorts for the rest of the game. How the refs call it will be critical here. We're on the road, so I don't love our chances of being able to get in there, play super aggressive, and stifle their shooters without getting some fouls called on us. But Bruce has never been somebody who shied away from that. We play aggressive. We let the refs dictate how it's going to be called, and then we adjust. We can only hope that we're going to do a good enough job to adjust to their shooters and that we can keep them contained is one word. I would say out of sorts just long enough for us to pick up a lead. All right. Go into the half up 5-6 points. I wouldn't love it if we were down at the half. They've had a hot shooting game because then we have to come back, but we have to keep really good shooters and really good scorers down for a whole nother 20 minutes. And if they're at home, that's going to be harder to do than if we've been able to keep a lid on the bucket for them and kind of force them to find their offense and also force them to defend us because we're definitely a better defensive team. All right. So if we can get going, now you have to find out how to stifle us, but we do have good offensive players. Now, they haven't played great offensively every game, but similar to what Chris is saying right here, we need Denver Jones to contribute like he did last game. That was a phenomenal game from Denver. He is a shooter. He shot well. And I think getting going early like that, it energizes then his defense. It definitely energizes his offense for the rest of the game if he can come out and get hot, but his defense as well. And that's what you want for him. You want that for Ayton and you want that for KD because those guys are scorers. You want them to be able to get going early. I would like to see us get going early and keep them from get going early so they can try to catch up for the rest of the game. But again, we're good enough defensively that if we get a lead and we're just playing good offense, we can win this game. So I see y'all talking to me over in the chat. Lisa Wise, what's up? Chris S., I see you over here too. Y'all hit me with some questions. What are y'all concerned about? What are y'all thinking about? I was a little late getting on here, so we're going to go for just a few more minutes, and we're going to talk about it. Matchup today with Ole Miss. What's on your minds? Chris S. saying Trey made some questionable turnovers last game, but we're going to have to lean on my guy for PG minutes. I think we do. I think we have to. If you're not getting the shot dropping from Aiden Holloway, it neutralizes his effectiveness on the game significantly. Like you can't be in that position as quick as you are, as good as your handles are, and not be able to hit outside shots. It's like it just can't happen. Now he does need to find better shots for himself, and that's something he should be able to do, and that's something he's going to have to work through. So I expect him to be able to do that a little more here going forward. Now let me look here. Chris S. saying starting Trey doesn't give you the best spacing, but Aiden has been cold from three. Yeah. And that is essentially the problem. You can't just say, hey, Trey, go out there to the 3-point line and force the defense to come out because Trey wants to dribble. He wants to drive. He's good at it. He's physical enough to do that well. But, of course, it's not necessarily the ideal thing to have the lane clogged up when you got a big as productive as Janai Broome can be. Of course, inside and outside, but in the middle, like, look, he can pull around and bank from like 10 feet, but he can also just back down. He's got good footwork. You don't want to have a guard that has to have the ball inside to do that. It would be great to have an outside shooter like Aiden get that spacing because you have to really make a business decision on who you want to guard here. But Trey has been, I think, the more consistent player, to your point, Chris, and I don't think you can take him off the floor with Aiden shooting like that. Now, Aiden's going to still get a chance to get his minutes, for sure. He's going to get a chance to show that he can break out of this slump. But until he does, I think you got to leave him on the bench and let Trey Donaldson run the show because I think we could definitely do worse than Trey Donaldson running the show. But yeah, I think he's a good point guard, SEC guard, and I'm glad we got him. Chris coming back and saying the SEC is deep. Lots of teams have comparable talent. Tennessee may be the top dog, but I think the jury's still out. I don't think Tennessee's the top dog. I mean, they just got beat soundly at home by South Carolina. I definitely don't think Bama's the best team in the conference because, that's not the world I want to live in. So that's what I'm going to say. we are just as good, can be just as good as anybody in the conference right now. It's so far come down to where these teams have played. Teams play better at home. We saw Bama at home. If we had played the Bama matchup at home first against at our home, then I think we would have won it. Tennessee beat Bama soundly. Then they lost to South Carolina soundly. Now South Carolina's going to have to go on the road today, I think. I want to see how that game goes. That's definitely going to be a game to kind of figure out what they're made of, I guess you could say. I think it's against Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. There are a lot of talented teams that are figuring things out, and anybody in the top 5 of the conference could win the conference. I definitely think Auburn's going to be top 4, though, when it's all said and done. I hope top 2, but we shall see. Chris saying that Flan's SEC splits aren't great. Yeah, I didn't isolate down the SEC, but it's kind of what we saw from him the last couple of years. It seems more and more the further back we go that the 2020-2021 season for Flanagan was a bit of an aberration, because even as he had opportunities in the following season and the season after that to take on more of a responsibility handling the ball or scoring, he wasn't able to do it with any kind of consistency. So, man, I think Flan, this is just what he is, as a college player. He's decent. He's definitely can play the type of defense that you're glad to have on your team. But, yeah, he hasn't been elite for them over at Ole Miss. I can say that. JJ saying you could see earlier in the season that Denver needed more minutes. Glad he got them because he is a dude. Yes, I think he needed more minutes. He needed more time to get his feet up underneath him to adjust to the SEC game, the sizes of the players he was going to be looking at, the types of athletes he was going to be asked to defend night in and night out. He's done it. And I think he's made that adjustment defensively first, which I think is important because I think Bruce demands that of them. So I'm glad he was able to turn up that intensity. And then the shot started falling. And, buddy, glad it has. He seems to be every bit the player that we thought he was going to be when we got him out of the portal. So, JJ also saying, hey, they need to be more consistent. Aiden and Trey, they do. They do need to be more consistent. Trey, I think I'm not worried about Trey. Aiden, I'm worried about. I think he will turn the corner. It's a factor of when. When is he going to turn the corner? When is that light going to come on for him where he can expend the type of energy he needs to defensively? And really, it's not even the fact that you're missing shots. It's what kind of shots you missing. Was there a better play to be made on any particular play? The logo 3 is beautiful, and it's great that you can do it, but you're not hitting it in the game. And is there a better shot to be making? Sure, I think it's a better shot. JJ saying Denver can play point guard if Aiden can get his head straight. I think we need Denver on the 2, though. I'm not sure he can play point. But his handle isn't as good as Trey or Aiden. So I don't know if he can. I haven't seen him get pressured. I can't really recall if he's been like ball pressured seriously. And that's created an issue. So I don't know. I don't know if he can play point. I don't doubt it. But as well as we need him to play, I don't know. Chris is saying, I'd like to see Aiden have more 2-point field goal attempts and 3 points. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's got to be room. You have the foot speed and the handle to get to the basket. Get to the basket. This was a criticism of mine early in Steph Curry's career. Even as they were winning championships, it's like he was just out there dribbling, playing for that long 3 no matter what, right? Or he might, if he can get the big out there off balance enough, then he's going to go in. It's going to be an easy layup. But very rarely would Steph Curry go, okay, you have to come all the way out here to play me. Get halfway to the basket, stop, and just pull up. Like, shoot a 10-foot jumper, because those count for points too. And that's something he got going in his game later. A lot of development happened for him between their last championship with KD and the last championship overall against the Celtics. He added that. But I think they have to figure that out. If their superpower has been, I'm going to shoot this 3 and I can hit it anytime, I see why you want to do it, because you can pull your team out of a slump. You can kind of fire start the entire offense and keep it going and bury the other team. And a lot of times, again, going back to Golden State, that ability to hit those big shots anytime is what buried teams. You just knew they're going to get going. The other team is demoralized. You start piling on, and it's kind of a cure-all. But I think what Aiden's figuring out is that at this level of the game, you can't just shoot your way to domination anytime, because you have to be able to hit these shots. Now somebody's defending you that can actually keep up with you. And you do us more harm than good by going for that shot, not hitting that shot, and putting us in a situation where they get a long rebound, they're breaking, they're getting easy points. Now we're down more points than we were, and you're coming down here thinking, I got to get it all back. Can't get it all back. Got to play within yourself, within the offense. There are better field goal attempts to get than the threes that he's attempting most of the time. Who else we got in here? Chris saying he can't recall a single mid-range jumper. I cannot either. But then again, I haven't watched all of the games in every second. And Ike saying Aiden has definitely taken mid-range jumpers. Not often, but it has happened. JJ Brandon saying players don't even try the mid-range shots anymore. It's weird. It's usually high percentage. Hey, man, there's somebody like I remember Kevin Durant saying, like, y'all people forgot about the mid-range game. It's deadly. Chris Paul, of course. There are a lot of people who live in the mid-range, right? And there's no reason to neglect it like it has been neglected. But I understand why. You know what? Let's all blame Steph Curry. He made it look too sexy to hit threes, so threes are too sexy. Before we get out of here, though, I want to remind y'all, BetUS is now our betting sponsor, so you can go there. The link is down below. Now, I could just tell you to go to BetUS, but no. You hit that link that's in the description, and that will get us the credit that we deserve so we can keep them coming back to pay us a little bit every month to tell you about them. And that's where I'm going to be going to make my bets. BetUS, 24-hour payout turnaround, and customer service, live customer service persons available for you anytime, day or night. And those are advantages that we definitely like, which is why we got on with them. So y'all go there, sign up, get your deposit matched by 125%, and make your picks there. For right now, I need y'all to remember to go ahead and check us out. The next time you will see us will be after the game. We're going to do a post-game LAUB Town. So when we've gone final, win or lose, we're going to get on, talk about what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, and that will be after the game. So there's no set time for that. The game starts at 5. It'll probably be somewhere between 7:30 and 8. Expect to go live with that. And then we got the weekend tailgate tomorrow, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. We're going to talk about, of course, basketball and what I think is a very strong recruiting weekend going on right now. Hugh Freeze actually tweeted out this morning, I'm expecting some good news, or I hope for some good things to happen today. And then he put the eyeball emoji, which you know is his bad signal for we about to get some recruits. So hopefully we got some good things to talk about tomorrow. But until then, y'all enjoy the game. We will be tweeting from the account quite a bit. Hopefully celebratory tweeting is what I like to do, you know? Okay. I don't want to put too much on it, but we'll be doing that. Y'all will see me there. Check us out after the game and tomorrow on the weekend tailgate. That's all for now. Peace.